let's start what we have come to the room to do, shall we? This way, what will I say to you during sex, and you will just get turned off because it happened. What is one thing sexually that you can never do? What do you do when someone starts to do something that you don't feel good about during sex? You can just throw it out there. You can just throw it, okay? Hey guys. Okay, my brother said, "Hey guys" is cliche. So I think I want to come up with something else, something that's not cliche. So let's try it again. What's up, guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Cold Session. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is the time for you to click on that subscribe button and subscribe. Make sure you tell your friend to tell a friend to tell another friend that I'm talking and they have to be listening. Today, I want to talk about questions that you should definitely ask before you have sex with someone. Yeah. Questions that you may be afraid to ask, but it's very important that you ask. It will save you a lot of stress, a lot of future, trouble of what are we now, and someone saying we are pencils in the hands of the creator. But apart from that, like, just generally, it's safer for you. Now, I won't tell you that it's not cool to maybe have like impromptu sex, like you meet someone and you guys get in the mood and you guys start throwing each other around and things happen. I don't think if that happens, if that's how it happened, that's fine. But once it has happened, it's also good for you to not have a conversation. All right. But if it didn't happen for you like that, um I think there are some things conversations you should have before sex that would actually be beneficial. If I see a lot of people get involved with people, and then after a while they break up, and then the next thing people they are talking about each other. This person does this sexually. This person is not good. This person is not good. But you thought about it? If you can actually ask, do you have anything that you don't like sexually? You don't like when people do. That's some common things that people do that people assume that every other person likes. Like, some guys will be like, "Do you like it? I like getting it. Do you like?" Some girls don't like that. Like, you're talking too much to some girls. So it's always good for you to ask, "Do you have any things that you don't like sexually?" Now let's move on. What sexual activity would you love to engage in? Or let me paraphrase that. What are your sexual fantasy? You see, if you can ask, if you can take the time to ask someone why you guys are still friends, anything can go at this point. You guys are still talking, you're open to conversation. If you can ask the questions like this, the person may be honest enough to tell you everything, to tell you, "Oh, this is my sexual fantasy, this is what I want. All right, sexually, I've always wanted to do this." And then you can surprise the person with it later in future. Don't you think you score a point? Definitely you will score a point. So I think before you have sex with someone, ask the person if there is something specifically the person wants to engage in during sex. If the person has any sexual fantasy or any fetish that they want to try out. You mustn't do it. You mustn't do it, but it's good to know just in case you can. Hold on. Right. The second thing I actually wrote down here is, I know this one is very important. It's the most important. Let me be honest. Please, before you have sex with someone, like I said, except is you both are drunk, you both can't control yourselves, or it just happened all of a sudden and you don't know what happened. If it's not that way, please always make sure you ask the person, is this something you're thinking about more of a hookup or a relationship? Do you think we're going to have a relationship here? Or is it a friends with benefits situation? I don't like when people just assume that just because you didn't talk about it, it's friends with benefits. No, just because you didn't define it, it's friends with benefits. Don't do that. Please, before you go ahead and have sex, ask if it's a friends with benefits situation or if it's a relationship, so that you don't end up being confused. It's not after sex you now start asking, "What are we now?" Like, there you'll be pencils in the hands of the creator. Okay. See here, if you notice that I'm sweating during this video, trust me, it's not because of the conversation. It's not the conversation at all. It's actually because I'm filming somewhere in Lagos, and Lagos is hot. Okay, extremely hot. And I had to turn down the fan because I didn't want the noise. Even at that, the noise is still too much everywhere. But that's why I'm sweating, okay? I just felt like I should explain that, you know? Okay, moving on. This one, I think this one is very, again, is very important that you ask this question. All right? Please, and this is for the guys, because I've heard a lot of stories about people pinning pregnancy on guys or people just getting pregnant and it's supposed to be a hookup, but someone ends up with, pregnancy. It's it's supposed to be a just like, hanging out and then someone is getting pregnant. To avoid that, please, before you get down with someone, ask if the person is on birth control. Ask if the person reacts to any of this after, what is it called, afterthoughts. Yes, any of these pills that you take after. Ask if the person has, what's the person's history with pills, because sometimes it may be that your body don't react to it or your body resists these things, and you're just gonna have sex with the person and the person's body resists these pills, and if you take an afterthought pill it won't work. Again, if you found out that the person is on birth control, that would actually help. So in case someone comes later to pin a pregnancy on you, you can be like, I asked you and you are on birth control. But although that's not 100% safe, but at least you should know. You should talk about that. If you guys don't want to use any form of protection, then you should know that what you are supposed to do after. If you talk about these things, it keeps like it gives you that freedom in that space of, even if it's just hookup, even if it's not a relationship, it gives you the freedom to be able to express yourself because you've talked about it beforehand. So you're already aware of what you should do in case anything happens, in the process. So please always ask if the person is on birth control. Always ask what kind of how the person reacts to after pill. Would you be taking after pill? Ask these questions. To my fourth question that I think you should definitely ask. Now, this one is very important. I feel like you should always ask this question before you get down with someone. All right? Please and please and please, before you get down with someone, especially the guys, because I feel like I'm giving a lot of this responsibility to the guys because I know we are Africans and some ladies we find it we're shy. Some of us are shy. Some of us can't say these things. To be honest, for a long, long time, I couldn't ask questions, some certain questions or ask for what I wanted from a guy. But the story is changing small, small. Okay, I'm learning and I'm being better at doing certain things. But anyway, this is a question I think you should definitely ask before you have sex with someone. Okay, what words do you like to hear while you're having sex? People like, generally, we can say generally, a lot of people like to hear some certain words said to them while sex is going on. All right, it's very, some words are very popular. Things like, oh, do you like it? Are you liking it? You're like, oh, you're so sweet. Yeah, this, that, da 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 da. You know the words, you know them. Some of them are very popular and cliche. Every guy uses them, every lady uses them, like when they're getting down. But what about asking the person personally what words they love to hear while the sex is going on? Or what words they would love not to hear at all? What words are deal breakers to them during sex? What will I say to you? Like, you can put it this way: what will I say to you during sex? And you will just get turned off because it happens. It definitely does happen where you say certain things and the person is off just by what you said. Again, what will I do during sex? There's certain things, certain fetish, certain just gestures, sexual gestures that people display during sex that turn off to other people. So you can ask those questions so that you don't have that one sex and the first time you guys are having sex, everyone is just like over it already, and no one wants to repeat it, and it won't be a waste of everybody's time. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so ask, what words do you want to hear during sex and what words don't you want to hear? All right, so this one, let's even discuss it. Let's discuss it. I think this is a very important question, and I feel like you should always ask this question when you're just sitting casually, you're just having conversation before the sex, you're just talking casually, the person, it's not really about sex, or whatever. I feel like you should always ask this question. So you can just throw it out there. You can just throw it, okay? So ask the person, What do you do when someone starts to do something that you don't feel good about during sex? So let me paint a picture so you understand. Um, let's say we're having sex and I do this thing and it's a turn off. What would your reaction be? So that's a question you should ask. If we're having sex and I do something you don't like, what will your reaction be? Now, because the person is relaxed and all that, the person may just be honest with you and just tell you the truth. This is how I'll react. Now, why I say you should ask this question is if you're not eventually having sex with the person and the person reacts in this manner, you would immediately recognize it. You'd be like, okay, I do recognize this is what's going on, and you'll be able to change it. This is a question that I ask everybody. Like, it's not just people may have intention to be sexually involved with. No, I ask this question to everybody, my friends, my family, anybody, because I like the juice. It's juicy, okay? That's why. But this question is very important because as much as we like, as much as we may say our past is our past, right? I do believe that our experiences shape us. Our experiences have so much effect on who we are and how we relate to people. So I'll ask if the person has any bad sex experience. If the person has any bad sex experience or sexual experience, anyone at all, because I feel like it could determine how the person reacts to certain things or even how the person is sexually. All right. So always ask that question. Do you have any? Just throw it out there. Do you have any bad sexual experience? Done. You said it. Okay. And the person could be honest with you and tell you about their past. These pasts can actually be triggers in their lives. This past can trigger them. This past could be something that they have created some certain memories in their head and could be triggered by certain actions that you may perform without knowing. So always ask. I don't know if I've asked this question before or I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention. Please always ask the person, what is one thing sexually that you can never do? What is the one thing sexually that you can never do? I want to share an experience of mine, but I don't still want to share it because I feel like the person I have the experience with might possibly just watch this video and just be like, hey, why you did this my matter for the vlog? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna keep it to myself. But let's just say you meet someone and you don't have this conversation. So you think it's business as usual, and then you pull out that your trick that you think is such a huge trick, and then the person goes, what the hell? What the fuck is that? The person just goes, I don't like this. You get, and it will spoil the mood. It will spoil everything. But if you have this conversation beforehand, what's the one thing you can never do sexually? Some people will tell you they can never swallow a cum. Some people will say I can never like bend over, twist, do all those stuff. Some people will say I can never. There are so many weird things, man. I don't want to start mentioning it on this vlog, okay? But there are a lot of weird things that people do apparently in the name of sex, and it's okay for you to ask first. You may be weird in your own way or freaky in your own way, but when you can't push that onto someone, okay? Without knowing if the person is equally as freaky. So these things will help you know if you're sexually compatible. That's what I'm saying here. All right. And you know that I am always looking out for you. I'm always looking out for you. So I will still give you more. I could talk about any other thing next time. All right. So make sure you stay tuned. Always make sure you listen, you watch my videos, and make sure you share them to your friends, your enemies, and every other person, anybody at all. Just give it to strangers to watch. I don't care. Anybody, just make sure my streams are going up, okay? Until next time, it is adios, peace and love. Mwah.